Hey, Anne, how are you?
I'm good. I'm happy this week is over. So I'm very happy. It's Friday night. We're recording on a Friday night. I'm probably going to be a little punchy. I'll forewarn you of that.
I can relate. Yes, it's been a very, very busy, hectic week. I don't know how. I mean, I got the inference from you before that you were a little bit overworked and kind of stressed out. Glad the week's over.
Uh,
I can relate. Although it was great fun last weekend, I was in Detroit for the Noir City Detroit Festival, which went extremely well. A great audience. It was good. Probably the best version of that festival yet, I'm happy to say. And Detroit was fun. Detroit is really bounced back. Detroit's doing great. So it was fun to hang out there. I stayed at a beautiful place where they put me up, and it was all very good. And give a shout out to our big supporters, Jay and Connie in Ann Arbor, Michigan, who came down and made sure that I was fed during the festival, and it was all very good.
I'm
So
glad to hear it.
yeah,
So,
that's
in
good.
case people don't know, this is Ask Eddie.
Oh, yeah, I'm
That's your
sorry. I
show.
just dive right in. I don't give the formal intro. I'm terrible at this stuff.
I'm the director of communications for the Film Noir Foundation. Eddie is the president of the Film Noir Foundation, and he's a writer, and he hosts Noir Alley on Turner Classic Movies, and he's Kathleen's husband. Anything else?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was Tizzy's cat daddy, but
No.
Tizzy's gone now. And I just the folks in Detroit were really sweet. A lot of people with condolences,
Oh.
and I'm getting I'm getting mail and email and all kinds of stuff. I think Tizzy was a little more famous than she realized. But
Oh.
um, yeah. So anyway, shall we get roaring into this week's edition?
Yeah, let me
So
bring.
because we're gonna do the lightning round at some point. You're gonna surprise me with that.
Yes, I'll surprise you with that. And our first question is from Joe in New York. Is that right? I feel like someone else submitted that question.
And as usual,
I
and
think
you're
they may have
doing.
gotten the name wrong.
I think you're doing a job of like people know that we're a little behind on some of the questions that have been asked, but you're very good about moving the most pertinent ones up in the list. So uh, here we go.
Here we go. So this is, I think, from Joe from New York City, but it might have been someone else. In light of the sad passing of Robert Redford, did Eddie come across any stories about Redford working on Tell Them Willie Boy Is Here during the making of his Abraham Polanski documentary?
Yes, Robert Redford is in the documentary, and so yeah, there are a lot of stories that Redford himself tells. So just to clarify, we did not interview him for the documentary, but he had previously been gracious enough to do some interviews specifically about Abe and about that film, which we were lucky enough to get a hold of. And so, yeah, when it comes around to that film, Redford gets to say quite a bit. I need not go into it right now because people will soon enough be able to see the documentary for themselves. So I'll save what Redford had to share.
Okay.
Okay. This is also a Joe from New York, but this is Joe in Suffolk County, New York, who always manages to submit a question, it seems. And this one is pretty timely as well. He says, Pat Crowley died at 91 years of age on September 14th, just passed 12 days ago. As far as I know, her only brush with noir was There's Always Tomorrow. In her obituary, the New York Times described the film as noir inspired. I suppose this is based on Frederick Murray and Barbara Stanwyck's starring roles in the film. Ms. Crowley's role in the second episode of Columbo, see, Joe's always thinking of you, gains her entry into the Ask Eddie pantheon. I'm assuming from the way this is written that Joe has not seen There's Always Tomorrow. because he choosing to cite the New York Times description of the film as noir inspired. Anyway, Joe says, tell us more about the 4 Fred MacMurray, Barbara Stanwyck collaborations. Why didn't they make another full-fledged noir after Double Indemnity? Well, that if they did, it was going to suffer by comparison.
Yeah.
So I think they probably stayed away from it for that exact reason. I mean, not Stanwyck. She made plenty more, but Fred MacMurray didn't really do that again. I mean, it's interesting in some, like the File on Thelma Jordan, I could kind of see Fred MacMurray playing the Wendell Corey part in that film, but what would be the point? People then would just say it wasn't as good as Double Indemnity.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why they didn't do it. Anyway, besides Double Indemnity, they did Remember the Night, which is a tremendous film that was the first film they did together.
Screenplay by Preston Sturges.
A great Preston Sturges screenplay. Mitchell Leisen, director. Really good film, funny but poignant, and with a little bit of I've shown it. It's a Christmas film, and I've shown it at Noir City Christmas, and will in a pinch do that again. So next to Double Indemnity, that's my next favorite of their films. And then somewhere in there, they did a Western, The Moonlighter, which is terrible. I just don't like that film at all. It was supposed to be in 3D for some inexplicable reason, and I don't think it ever actually got released in 3D. Have you seen this movie?
No, it's the only film of theirs I haven't seen.
Yeah, it's not very good, and it's Raoul Walsh directed it, but it was just kind of a miss all the way around. It's also very hard for me to see Fred MacMurray in a Western.
Yeah,
just it's hard for me to buy that. And then I don't know what your feelings are about There's Always Tomorrow, but
I love it.
I know. To me, it's like the forgotten Douglas Sirk movie.
Yeah, it's like one of his best. I love that movie. I cried so hard when I saw this movie.
But it's not. I don't really think of it in any way as a film noir.
No, not remotely. I mean, the cast is noir because it also has
Joan Bennett.
Joan Bennett, thank you. Yeah.
Joan Bennett plays Fred MacMurray's wife, and he, he's very much like the Dick Powell character in Pitfall. He's just kind of bored with his life and suffering, a midlife crisis kind of thing, and Stanwyck comes back into his life. She'd been an employee of his like 20 years earlier, comes back into his life and complicates things, but it's funny that the New York Times would call it noir inspired when to me, it's almost like an anti-noir.
Yeah.
Because it's the setup that you would find in so many noir films, but nobody kills anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, they deal with their situation like adults, you know? I mean, Joan Bennett and Barbara Stanwyck have this heart-to-heart thing, and the kids get involved in the whole bit, and it's very sad and melancholy movie. Yeah, I remember when I asked when we used to do the 5 favorites feature in the Noir City Magazine, we would have kind of notable people talk about 5 of their favorite noir films. I remember that Ileana Douglas did one for us, and that she put this film on the list just because. Yeah. She thought it needed more attention, and I tend to agree. I think the only reason it's in black and white, and it was right in the middle of that Douglas Sirk run at Universal of all those Ross Hunter produced melodramas that were in lush color, but for whatever reason, Universal didn't give them the budget for color, so they shot it in black and white, which I think is why people think it feels like a film noir. It's made in 1956, so not that there weren't black and white movies still being made in 56, but I don't remember when the last time Sirk had made a black and white film was, when that was. But anyway, it's good. And then Joe also asked, this is for you, Anne, Please tell us about Mrs. Crowley in her Columbo episode, Death Lends a Hand. Do you remember
Death
this
Lends a
episode?
Hand is one of my favorite episodes. I actually, it was the first one shot for the first season of Columbo, but they decided to do Murder by the Book instead, which is one that like Steven Spielberg directed, which I think is kind of overrated. I think people kind of, because Spielberg directed it, and,
Yeah.
you know, but they thought it was strong enough to put it first. But I actually like Death Lends a Hand better. Like, I think it's like in my top 10 Columbo episodes, and she plays the victim, who is Robert Culp in his first of 3 Columbo appearances as in the original series, is a private detective who's trying to blackmail her, and they get into a confrontation. He kills her actually by accident, which is kind of rare in Columbo, and then he has to cover it up. And there's just this amazing sequence after he kills her, where they go to a close-up on his face, and then in the 2 lenses of his glasses, they play different footage in each glass of like
In each
him.
lens, yeah.
Yeah, and he goes, and yeah, and it's him like how he's disposing the body and trying to cover his tracks and stuff. It's really a great episode.
Cool. Wow.
Yeah, and she's very good in it, you know.
And so that's like, what would you say? That's like amongst the first half dozen Columbo episodes?
It's the second
second one. Wow.
of the series. There was 2 TV movies. There was Prescription Murder, and then the one with Lee Grant, that's name is escaping me right now, Ransom for a Dead Man. And then it went into the first season, and this was filmed first but aired second.
The great Lee Grant.
Oh, she's terrific in Ransom for a Dead Man. And at one point, her stepdaughter is watching Double Indemnity on a little black and white TV.
How about that? Unlike Redford, who is in the Abe Polanski documentary, but we didn't actually interview him. Lee Grant, we actually interviewed for the documentary.
Yeah.
And she's just terrific. 97.
Wow.
When she did that with us, she was 97 years old, and she was just so with it. And, you know, she's just the greatest. So that's pretty cool. Okay. I'm going to have to look up one of these, just Pat Crowley. Haven't thought about Pat Crowley in ages. And I'm sorry to hear that she just passed away. Wow. Another person that I'm sure will be left out of the Oscar memorial reel.
Probably.
Okay. All right.
And this
Next
is
one.
Ken from Oklahoma. Instead of recommending film noirs for those who haven't seen one before, is there one or more film noirs from the classic era that you would not recommend someone to see if they're unfamiliar with the genre? Apart from the film not being that good, are there reasons you might not want to show a particular film noir to a newbie?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, I don't know. Okay, I can't stall on this one, but this gives me pause. I wouldn't want it to be, you know, a bad film. So something like Undercurrent or something like that, I would just say, oh God, no, don't do that. Yeah. The one that pops to my mind, because it's just so unique and distinctive, is The Lady from Shanghai. I wouldn't want that to be someone's initial exposure, because I think it might just, even though it has a lot of the distinctive tropes of the genre, it's such an unusual film, and it's so crazy. It's just a crazy film that I think people would wonder if all of noir was like that. And that would be a mistake. I don't know. That's the best I can do on short notice. What about you? Is there anyone that you think?
I mean, I think that I would want to probably start with ones that were more like of the genre, like something like Double Indemnity, Out of the Past, and those kind of things.
Well, yeah, but
I know I'm trying to think of ones that I wouldn't show
that would be misleading. I guess he's kind of asking, like, what's a misleading example of a film noir? And
I mean, I kind of guess The Gangster, even though I really love that movie a lot. That one is
that's a good one.
I mean, it's not like it's so different from anything else in that genre that.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. That's a good choice. So Undercurrent, The Gangster, and The Lady from Shanghai. Although, The Lady from Shanghai it's a crapshoot, what I'm saying. If people are totally unfamiliar with the genre, you can show them A Lady from Shanghai and they're either going to love it and say, I need more of this, or they're going to say, that was really goofy and confusing and I didn't quite get it. Because I know there's a lot of people who didn't grow up with the Orson Welles mystique, who watches, and they say, well, I don't get it. What's the big deal? Like these are the same people probably who say Citizen Kane is overrated.
Yeah. I mean, you can make that too about Touch of Evil, because that's another one where it's also could be very like people might be like not necessarily into it.
Yeah, and Touch of Evil lacks a lot of the the archetypes of film noir. I mean, Charlton Heston is a little bit more of a straight arrow than most of the cops in film noir. There's no real femme fatale in the film, and you don't really get that many performances like Wells in the movie. I mean, the vibe is a little more Baroque than the typical noir film, so that's another good one. Good going, Ann. You're carrying the show so far. Your answers are really good. Is it me?
Yes.
Okay, this is Doug, also from New York City. On the August 1st episode of Ask Eddie, my fellow New Yorker Richard asked what the best New York-based film noir
Just a
was.
note, that's August 2024.
Okay. I was reading that and I'm saying, I don't remember doing that. Okay, so that was a year ago. Okay, Blast of Silence, Murder by Contract. The Naked City. Murder by Contract is actually kind of an LA noir. The Naked City, Pickup on South Street, and Mean Streets were offered. If I said Murder by Contract, I'm sorry, because the only stuff in New York is interiors at the beginning of the film. I'd like to add I Wake Up Screaming, Phantom Lady, Kiss of Death, Scarlet Street, and Where the Sidewalk Ends to that list. Okay, Doug, that's interesting. The Kiss of Death is the only one of those films that was actually shot in New York. Any of it shot in New York. All the other films were shot in Hollywood. But then so was Mean Streets by and large. Okay, the question itself led me to think of two other great cities in noir, film and fiction. Los Angeles, of course, and San Francisco. And then he cites, the films you would expect: Double Indemnity, Crisscross, In a Lonely Place, Kiss Me Deadly, Chinatown, and San Francisco. Maltese Falcon, Born and Killed, Dark Passage, Lady from Shanghai, Point Blank. Do you think that one of these three owns pride of place in the genre? And if so, why? And are there other cities you feel are deserving of mention along with them? No, not necessarily. I mean, I've made this flippant remark in the past that, the difference between noir and these various locales is that New York noir, the camera tilts up and down. LA noir, the camera pans side to side, because that's the way the architecture and the geography of these cities is. And in San Francisco, somebody just sent me a thing the other day adding on to that, saying, in San Francisco, everything goes sideways. Yeah, or diagonal or something, because of the hills and all that stuff, I guess. No, the only other city that really got multiple appearances in noir is Chicago. And, not too many films there, but enough. And it's interesting to note that in Europe, when they had a movie and the title didn't make any sense and it was a crime film, they just renamed it something with Chicago in it. Right. So the narrow margin is on the Chicago Express, is like in French, it's on the Chicago Express. And because in Europe, Chicago was so synonymous with crime
Yeah.
and organized crime specifically that they thought, oh, it's a crime movie, just put Chicago in the title. So I guess Chicago gets honorary status as, the big Midwestern city, right? So I guess it would, those are the four.
Yeah.
LA, New York, Chicago, and San Francisco.
So what do you think? Do you think one of these owns Pride of Place, or do you think not? Or do you think
no? I mean, it's LA.
Yeah.
Because it was supposed to be the promised land, and it turned out to be as corrupt as anything else. So,
yeah,
to me, LA is kind of dark city. I mean,
yeah.
And more of the films were made there than any place else.
Even though I was looking at these titles, I realized that I guess I really love San Francisco film noir because I love so many of the San Francisco based noirs. Some of my favorites.
But the thing that's interesting is I think the San Francisco films, because that's how all this started, right? My first Noir City Festival was all films set in San Francisco, and I think by and large they're all pretty good. Like you have to dig to find a San Francisco set noir that's not very good.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it would be, like Shadow of a Woman or something like that, which I've shown, and it's got a couple of good things in it, but it's just not very good. But really, when you get down to it, the lineup and Experiment and Terror and, the Sniper, Woman on the Run, Vertigo. I mean, these are all really, really good films. So if the question was which locale produced the best movies, was backdrop for the best movies, San Francisco, right? With the Maltese Falcon, and certainly can stake a claim to that. And much more so than New York, they actually would shoot on location in San Francisco, right? Because it was just a truck ride up the coast to bring everything up there. When I look back and I see, in New York films, I Wake Up Screaming, Pick Up on South Street, those were all made on the lot in Hollywood. So, it was an imitation of New York. Sam Fuller certainly knew how to do that. But, Blast of Silence, that's a New York film, definitely. Yeah. Naked City, totally a New York film. But I Wake Up Screaming is completely backlot. Phantom Lady was done entirely on the backlot. The elevated train stuff was all matte paintings and done in the studio and all that. So anyway, okay, you go.
I go, and this is from Michael in Post Falls, Idaho. The other night, my wife and I watched the 1955 programmer Sudden Danger, starring Tom Drake and Beverly Garland, about a blind man trying to prove he didn't kill his mother in order to use the insurance money for an operation to correct his vision. It was a standard B-noir fare, with the exception of the performance of Bill Elliott as a homicide detective investigating the case. While everyone else was acting, Elliott seemed to be the real thing, a tight-lipped, no-nonsense questioner who is Johnny on the spot, always one step ahead of everyone else, popping up at unexpected moments. Afterwards, my wife said Elliott must have played a sheriff before. Turns out, while Bill appeared in countless westerns before becoming Lieutenant Andy Doyle in 5 films, including Danger, at the end of his career, Elliott was so engaging in this film, we are looking forward to seeing the others in the series. Have you seen Sudden Danger, and do you think it would be worthy of showing at an upcoming Noir City?
Oh yeah, I've seen it, and yeah, I would definitely show it either on Noir City or Noir Alley. I mean, with Noir City, it has to fit with the theme of the festival. So, killing people to get money for operations would have to be the theme of the festival. And what's weird is there's a few of them, right? But yeah, I mean, he did a whole bunch of westerns. I think there's another noir, kind of pseudo noir he did called Dial Red. I think it was called Dial Red O or something like that. Yeah, Bill Elliott was, he was a stand and deliver kind of actor, not a huge amount of range, but what he did do, he did somewhat convincingly. So I'm glad that Michael got so much out of that. And of course, Beverly Garland is always worth watching,
Yeah.
So yeah.
And it's funny too when you're watching something and someone's so natural in the part, it really doesn't feel like they're acting at all. I always admire that quite a bit when someone just comes across as just so utterly like real. And sometimes it's not really like big name actors. I mean, that can be people that were just really good studio players, but they just have like a naturalness to their performance.
Yeah,
So,
I'm always just amazed watching. Acting today is like better than ever, and just how good these performers are now, that everybody, to me, it stands out when somebody seems fake. That's what hits me. It's like, boy, this is not a good performance. This person seems really fake.
I think it depends, because I definitely think there's actors now that are quite big that I don't think are really that.
You don't think are any good? Like who? Like who? Come on, Ann, tell me. Like who?
I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think of somebody, a good example.
I mean, there are people whose gigantic popularity eludes me.
Yeah.
Like, why are they so popular? I don't get that. But are they bad? Are they bad actors? I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's what my ex-husband used to call name tag actors. You just put a name tag on them, and they're just whoever they're supposed to be. And it's like, and I do think there's a lot of actors like that still that are really cast because not really for their performance ability, but they're a name, and I mean,
and they play everything the same way. They play everything the same way because it works for them.
Yeah, like Tom Cruise.
Never play a character.
I mean, which is too bad, because I've seen like a couple performances of Tom Cruise, and he's actually a really good actor. He's just lazy, and I guess he wants to make a lot of money for the Scientologist.
I'm not going to blame him, because we've seen enough of him to know that he is capable of giving a good performance, but I don't think the people who fund the movies want him to do anything other than just be Tom Cruise.
Right, but he has enough money that he could never make another blockbuster again and just do independent films or whatever project came his way.
Yeah.
It's not like he needs the money, which means, I think he likes, I mean, maybe it's an ego thing, or, he needs the adoration, or like I said, he's just making money for the Scientologist. But, it's too bad too, because he's actually can be a very, like, I thought he was great in Rain Man.
Yeah, he was really good in Rain Man.
I mean, that was always something that I never understood when everyone went on and on about Dustin Hoffman's performance. I'm like, Tom Cruise is great in this. How come no one's ever talking about Tom Cruise?
The truth is, and no offense, but Dustin Hoffman had the easier role in that. But I mean, once you figure out how you're going to do the tics and the little weirdness of that character, it's easy for somebody who actually can act, But Tom Cruise had the more difficult character role.
And he was really good, because he did a really great arc in that role. Mm-hmm. I mean, you really saw the transformation of his character over the course of the events. Yeah. Anyway, my 2 cents.
Okay. All right. This one is from Christopher. The other day, I was debating with a friend. This is our fan base. They debate these things with people.
With their friends.
Whether or not superhero films and shows, which usually include clear-cut heroes and villains, could ever be classified as film noir. We had this debate in light of the premiere of the new show Batman, Caped Crusader, the animated series on Amazon. I believe the show and the Batman story in general contain elements of noir, even the aesthetics of the genre, but could never be considered full-fledged noir. Batman and his allies may be pushed to their moral limits, but in order to be the hero, Batman always keeps his moral compass. The one exception may be in The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. If you can add anything to this debate, it would be greatly appreciated. Well, Um, my credo is there is no spandex in noir. So first off, the fact that these people wear costumes, superhero costumes, makes it adjacent to the genre at all times. These are not noir. Are they noir inspired? Batman started out as noir. I mean, the original Batman comics were totally noir.
And he really didn't have a moral compass.
No, he was a vengeful, almost psychopath.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that those stories completely were of that time, where they in effect Batman kind of preceded the noir movement. It was intentionally dark, and there were the villains and all that stuff were inspired by the movies, right? The Joker was inspired by Conrad Veidt and I forget the name of the movie now, damn it, but he had the smile and the whole thing. Oh
God. Yeah.
But then what was interesting, that all changed. And then in the 60s, it became campy and pop art. And then Tim Burton's Batman was kind of a combination of the two. But then, by the time Chris Nolan picked it all up, it was noir again. And like that last one, The Batman, where Robert Pattinson played the character, that was back to its roots as a detective story. I mean, that's what it was. It was a detective story, and the detective was wearing a silly Batman suit,
Excruciatingly long detective story.
That movie was very long and very quiet. Everyone whispered their dialogue. That's where, like, Jeffrey Wright, he must have had like a cold or something, because Batman, you don't understand. Whatever. So Batman is I will just say this, Batman is the most noir of all comic book characters.
Yeah. And if people haven't seen the Penguin series, which I highly, 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 highly recommend, that is very noir. It is very good. And it is very much, it's not like, if people it's not superhero-ish at all.
Yeah, it's so weird how they manage.
It's just a straight out sort of noir gangster story.
It's a crime show, right? I mean, I haven't seen it, but it's a crime show, and it's just so odd to me that now these universes, the Marvel and DC universes, are just so prevalent in every way in Hollywood that they're getting like a regular show out of that character, when it really has very, very little to do with the source material. So anyway.
Yeah. Okay, you ready for a lightning round?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
I will try to be fast.
Okay, hold on. This is the wrong one. Let me get the right one. Okay.
Let the right one in.
Oh, that's a great movie. If people haven't seen that, people should see that. Actually, let's go ahead and you read the next question, because I pulled up the wrong file
and then we'll lightning round. Okay.
And then we'll lightning round, because I had the wrong.
Okay, this is from Matthew. He says, I will just ask this one time, if there's any chance of seeing in the future some of the key or at least interesting noirs that I've never seen on Noir Alley. I didn't watch religiously in the earliest days, and I've missed a few since then due to family emergencies. Well, that's a justifiable reason. I know there are just some films TCM won't be able to get for various reasons, but there are some key films. This is key because Matthew has said key 3 times now. Say by Siad Mack, Joe Lewis, Phil Carlson, and Felix Feist, that I've never seen on Noir Alley, but would love to see them so you can talk about them. My number one dream would be So Dark the Night, Joe Lewis picture, which there's probably no reason I can't show that. I'm trying to remember if I did show it. I don't think I showed it. I can't remember. I know I did something about that film. Wrote or did a commentary or something. I don't know. The Devil Thumbs a Ride. You're not going to see The Devil Thumbs a Ride because Warner Brothers does not have the North American rights to that film, and it cannot be shown. It cannot be broadcast in this country. And any and all Siad MacNoir you haven't hosted. I will be showing Cry of the City coming up in December. I think December 10th. On Noir Alley, I will show Cry of the City. And I know that because I'm writing the script for it just before I came on to do this.
Wait, which one's Cry of the City?
With Victor Mature and Richard Conte.
Oh,
yes.
And
it's funny because it goes back to the question, who was it that asked the question about the Doug in New York City, mentioning, because that's a New York film noir. And many of the exteriors were shot in New York for Cry of the City. And Robert Siadmak hated making it because he did not like shooting films outside of the studio. He liked to be able to control everything, the lighting and the sound and everything. And shooting on location really kind of bothered him. But it's a really good film. And
what was the film that we showed this year that was set in Bellevue Hospital?
Sleeping City.
That's I was trying to remember the name when we were talking about New York.
Yep, that's another one. And there's also, if you want to get really grungy, Guilty Bystander with Zachary Scott is like the Bowery. It's like a really grungy, degenerate view of New York that the movie has a lot of problems, but the feel of the film is pretty singular in terms of its depiction of New York. So now we looped back to an old question. Now let me see if I can pick up where I was.
Sorry.
Well, that was it. Matthew's question was about those things. So yeah, I mean, and just to reiterate, things just change because certain films are what they call in window, like they're licensable for a certain amount of time. And so we are negotiating that right now. And so probably in 2 or 3 weeks, I will have a new list of what is available from the studios that I can pull from to show on Noir Alley. So, and I'm always looking for stuff that I haven't shown before. So, I mean, the minute The Suspect becomes available, I'm showing that. That's one of the films I've really can't believe. Do you know, Ann, that I've been on TCM for 8 years?
Holy cow.
That I've been hosting Noir Alley for 8 years.
Wow.
Isn't that incredible? And every year I show at least 44 movies. I'm no good at math. English was my specialty. So I don't know how many movies that is then that I've shown approximately, because I've shown a couple of times, but that's a lot of noir. Anyway.
Okay. You ready for the speed round?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Brian from San Diego asks, I was watching Sorry Wrong Number on TCM in June 2025, and Eddie said that he recorded a commentary track since this was one of his favorite movies. Sadly, Paramount Studios decided not to include the commentary track on their DVD release. Do you know of any way I could get a chance to hear Eddie's Sorry Wrong Number commentary track?
No.
Okay. That's kind of what I figured. Fran from Arlington.
I would just add this. Gary Leva was the guy, the producer who was doing all the special features on that. And I honestly don't know if Gary, when they elected not to release that film with all those special features, I'm not sure if all that remained with Gary or if it all went, if he had to turn over everything he had done to Fox since they were essentially paying for it. So I don't really even know where that commentary is now. Okay.
And Fran from Arlington, Virginia asks, were the B movies shown first or second on the program at movie theaters in the early days?
It was it depended on when you walked in the door. I mean, it would be just whatever one they started the day with would be the first one. But after that, it doesn't make any difference. It's the same, I mean, they would just grind them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like when we do Noir City, we have a specific show, right? And we'll show like the B film first or the A film first, or something. And then it's like clear the theater, and the next show is coming in, and it's like a separate admission. Back then, it was just like play them. So it's impossible to say which one played first, because you have to remember people back then didn't really give a crap about start times of movies. They just go to the movies and they'd walk in and they'd stay until they'd seen this part before. So they were very advanced. It was like non-linear storytelling for a lot of these people, the stories weren't unfolding in chronological order all the time. The movie started when you walked in the theater.
And Jeff from Brooklyn, here's a good story for people that don't know. So when Amos and Andy was on the air, the radio show Amos and Andy, which was one of the biggest radio shows of all time, movie theaters would stop the film and pipe it in so that they wouldn't lose customers on the night that Amos and Andy played.
Wow.
That's how big that show was. Yeah.
And we all know how correct Amos and Andy was.
Yeah.
That's good. I had not heard that story before, though. That's pretty cool.
Isn't that incredible? Yeah. And here we have Jeff from Brooklyn. Does the foundation have a ban against New York City? I'm sure the foundation is a nonprofit. You can get a good deal at Madison Square Garden or Radio City Music Hall or Rockefeller Center or the New York Public Library. Meaning on North City, a ban on having North City in New York.
I've said this before. You have to be wanted, and several venues have inquired and then not followed through on actually making it happen. So, at this point, it's like I'm not pushing it. We already do 8 or 9 a year now, and so. No, we have nothing against New York. New York clearly has something against us.
I'm afraid so. And this one's from Bill. At one time recently, you talked about music from some of the Noir films, and you said that you had a number of those recordings. How about writing something about those soundtrack albums or discs for the Noir magazine?
I would not do that, but I might get my the Noir City musical director Nick Rossi to do that. We have had articles in the magazine before about music and films. The great jazz pianist Ethan Iverson actually wrote a great article about jazz soundtracks in noir, but that was about 5 or 6 years ago now. And yeah, I would love to do that. And you may be seeing that sooner than you think.
So how does one get a subscription to Noir City Magazine, Eddie?
One signs up online. You can go to the Film Noir Foundation website and join our mailing list. And when you join the mailing list, that's the start of the process. Then you go to the contribute page and you contribute a minimum of $20. That's all. We haven't raised that price since we started. And once you make that donation, you will receive the Noir City Magazine, which is now, quite an expansive publication. New issue will be coming out very soon. And that will be delivered digitally to your inbox as a digital publication that you can read on your laptop or your iPad. And then once that comes out, within a week or two of that, a print edition of the magazine appears on Amazon, which you can just buy the print edition for $15. But why do we want people to not just do that, Anne?
Because we get like $1 an issue from Amazon.
That's it. So Amazon keeps 14 of the dollars, and we keep 1.
Yeah. So obviously, it's better for us when you get it digitally. Plus, you get a little bit sooner. Plus, when you do that, you're helping us restore films, which is the reason why we do all this. Not that we don't enjoy doing all this, but it is to raise funds for our restoration work.
Yes, indeed. So,
so Ricky
you just did the
asks,
whole lightning round. You just did the whole lightning round. So I guess I'll read.
We got two more lightning round questions.
Oh, okay, good. Let's go.
Ricky asks your favorite question. What's up with everyone getting out of the passenger side of the cars? Got me stumped. Why not use the driver's side?
Oh my God. It's so funny that it just blows people's minds. I'm going to assume that these are younger people asking that question because they've never been in an old car that had a bench seat in it, where you could just slide across. But I'll be quick. Invariably, this was done in movies because it saved time. You did not want the driver getting out of the car on the street side and walking all the way around the car when they can just slide out or slide in, and that's it. They're in the car. They're out of the car. It's really simple and fast. So that's it.
Okay, and our final lightning round question from JJ. I'd love it if you could bring back Samantha Eggar's The Lady in the Car with the Glasses and Gun. Please, I've never gotten to see it. Anyway, I second that because I love the book and I didn't realize that it had ever been adapted into a film.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the name of the writer of that book, which is
something
escaping.
French.
Yes, Sebastian something, and he later on, I think, is the same writer who did a thing called A Very Long Engagement, which was a really, really good movie. But I think they had the same writer. I mean, we'll put it on the radar. I mean, it's such a great title, but I mean, it's not right in our noir wheelhouse, but I'm starting to venture a little bit outside the comfort zone, of the 40s and 50s. And so when we start moving into the 60s, that would be a possibility.
Yeah. If people haven't read the book, read the book. It's really good. That's it. I just really like the book.
Okay. Very good.
Okay. John from DC asks, as many times as I've watched the Maltese Falcon, I am struck by an awkward moment towards the end of the film. As Gutman chips away at the statue with a knife, the words, "It's fake," can be heard, but the camera does not show anyone's face, which strikes me as odd. Dialogue sounds nothing like Sidney Greenstreet and certainly not like Peter Lorre, at least not to my ears. It almost sounds like the line "it's fake" was added as a post-production. Can you shed any light on this apparent misfire in what is otherwise a pretty much perfect film?
I have never heard that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just funny. I've never heard that. But the thing that's interesting is, even if it was there, I don't understand why John thinks it's a misfire. I mean, it clearly would have been added in post-production. I don't think it's necessary to see the face of the person saying it.
Yeah.
If it was added in post-production, it was added because John Huston or Hal Wallace or Henry Blank, the producer of the film, felt that it wasn't abundantly clear to the stupidest person in the audience what was happening, right? Yeah. Obviously, when you chip at it, there's supposed to be, rubies and emeralds and things on this bird, which I've never quite understood because you don't see the shape of any of that stuff on the bird. It's just the bird. But that's the only thing I can think of, is it was put in just as a added line of dialogue, in which case they probably wouldn't even bother to get one of those actors to come back and record 3 words, So they just said, well, we're not going to show them, and have somebody, whoever it was, deliver the line, just thinking that it added some kind of clarity to the scene. I actually don't think Um, look, I've seen the film 50 times and I've never actually, this has never stuck in my brain.
Me too.
You know,
And this is like my favorite film of all time. I've seen this so
yeah.
many times.
So I can't
So I never
can't
noticed.
say that it alters the perfection of the film at all, but I can surmise that that's it. That's the reason it's there. I'd be curious to know if John was watching the film with headphones.
Maybe, yeah.
You know, because maybe you can hear it with headphones where you can't hear it with the ambient sound of the theater and everything. So at some point next time I watch the film, I will definitely be listening for it.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny. Ted was over last week, and for some reason I started talking about The Cheap Detective and how great Madeline Kahn is in that. So I just want to recommend to everybody that if you've not seen The Cheap Detective, with Peter Falk playing the Bogart role and Madeline Kahn plays basically the Bridget role.
Yeah.
And she's so hilarious in this film. It's just, oh my God.
Madeline Kahn was always hilarious. Always.
She's so brilliant at it. So brilliant.
I haven't seen that. No, go ahead. Especially
the Chinatown gag, which is one of my all-time favorite gags in anything.
You know, I haven't seen that movie since it came out.
Oh wow, you know, you could just like look up on YouTube because there's like a compilation of Madeline Kahn and all the different outfits she wears in the film. Because you know how Bridget's in Maltese Falcon, Bridget's always changing her name and going under these different names. So Madeline Kahn, when she's doing it, she's like changing her outfits as well.
Yeah.
And so
I seem to recall. Well, I do recall that David Niven and Maggie Smith were kind of the Nick and Nora Charles.
That is actually another film.
Oh, that was Murder by Death.
That's Murder by Death.
Okay, Murder by Death. Okay.
Of sort of detective fiction, including a really great Miss Marple gag.
Okay, see, I get them all mixed up.
Yeah,
okay.
And The Cheap Detective is just a kind of a pastiche of different.
And Murder by Death was a satire of all the detectives, right?
Yes, including
that was the one with Truman Capote?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Where he's like the one who summoned them all to the place, yeah.
Use your goddamn articles.
Yeah, I just remember seeing, so Murder by Death was the one where I was quite surprised and impressed by Maggie Smith in that film because I didn't realize she was quite so busty.
Yeah.
It was like,
I don't think you notice it in that film.
Oh, you really noticed it in that film. Was like, I don't know if this is period accurate. She was, anatomically, she was all there, and it was like, holy cow. Anyway, you see where my mind is at. I confused the films, but I definitely remembered Maggie.
You remember that part.
I remember that part. Okay, shall we? Are you still with me?
Yes, I'm still with you.
Okay.
I'm just seeing where we are here.
This is Jan from Stockholm, Sweden, which do you think Jan, someone will clarify for us. It's Janne. So I'm curious if that makes it a man or a woman.
Yeah.
Because most times I've seen Jan is Jan as a man's name. So I don't understand. Is it Janne, the female version of that or not? Somebody answer it for me so I can learn. Okay, but here is the question. Time for some of my tricky questions. This time about a film directed by Jules Dassin, Night and the City. It's a noir classic, and I think it's great, but there are similarities between this film and The Informer, at least the silent version from 1929. I have neither seen the talkie version of that one nor John Ford's version from 1935. Of course, the main story for the films are different, but the latter part of the two films are very much alike. It's not only that the protagonist is chased through the city by people wanting to kill him, but also that he has a girlfriend who stands by his side almost to the end, and that he can only be redeemed through being killed. Have these similarities been discussed? And he or she adds, I don't know if these similarities were obvious in the respective novel on which the films are based. Do you know this? Was Joe Eisinger, who wrote the screenplay for Night in the City, asked about these similarities? Not that I know of. And he or she says, I suppose that Dassin must have been aware of this since he later co-wrote and directed his own version of The Informer, which was uptight in 1968. Okay. And then there's an additional question about Night in the City that I'll get to next. I don't have any idea. I can tell you that the novel Night in the City bears little relation to The Informer. I mean, and the Harry Fabian character is one of many characters in the novel. That's the one they chose to focus on for the movie. And if anything, the film that really is like The Informer is Odd Man Out, right?
Yes.
Carol Reed's Odd Man Out with James Mason
yes.
is much more like The Informer than Night in the City is. So I would almost think that Night in the City was more inspired by Odd Man Out than it was by The Informer. Same thing. I mean, there's even the IRA, which is not called the IRA in Odd Man Out, but
it's the IRA. Yeah,
it's the IRA. I mean, the whole battle for Irish independence and all this kind of stuff is what Odd Man Out is about. But it is the same thing. A guy pursued, wanted man pursued through the night, and will people help him or not? And he has the steadfast girlfriend, Kathleen Ryan, in Odd Man Out, who is just terrific in the film. Anyway, and I don't know. And I will tell you that back then in the 1940s, writers did not talk about if they knocked something off from somebody else. Joe Eisinger wasn't going to say, yeah, I got it all from The Informer. That just wasn't the way they did it. So, but now you've got me thinking, Jan, because I can't remember off the top of my head which studio produced The Informer, but I'd be curious to know if there was overlap there with the studios, because obviously Fox was the studio that made Night in the City. Okay, and one more question.
I assume that, I mean, I can't remember for sure, but I'm pretty sure The Informer was Fox as well because it was a John Ford film.
Yeah. That's what I was just thinking. But so, I mean, it just means they own the rights to the material, so they're not going to get sued if they copy the plot, right? So,
yeah.
The other question? Sorry about that. What's the difference between the American version of Night in the City and the British European version? Both can be found on the Masters of Cinema Eureka Blu-ray edition from a few years ago. I'm curious to know. I mean, I know what the difference is. Most of it has to do with the soundtrack. There are a few scenes that are different. The wrestling scene in the middle of the film with Mike Mazurki and what's his name? Stanislaus. I can't remember his name right now. The wrestling scene is different. The beginning of the film is different. But most of it has to do with the music in the films, because they could not clear rights for using some of the music. And the scores, I believe, are different. Franz Waxman does the Hollywood version, the American release version, and the score is different in the British version. I have seen, this was a real rarity, I have seen on a flatbed editing table at the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, Jules Dassin's original cut of the film, which is very different because it features like a bookend prologue and epilogue with guys who work on the Tower Bridge in London going to work. And then, of course, the coda at the end is after Harry gets dumped off the bridge. These guys are coming to work and they see the body and, all that kind of stuff. So, it was good. The Dassin cut was really good, but I can definitely see Daryl Zanuck demanded changes to kind of boost Gene Tierney's part. So the whole initial scene in Gene Tierney's apartment with Harry Fabian is very, very different in the two versions. And that was Zanuck's doing. He made them shoot the whole thing again, which I thought was a very good decision. Zanuck knew what he was doing. He had been a writer and knew his way around these scripts. So
yeah, I think people have that kind of knee-jerk reaction that producer input is bad, but people don't realize some producers are really great producers.
No. I mean, Daryl Zanuck knew what he was doing. Most of these guys, Harry Cohn knew what he was doing. It didn't mean he wasn't kind of a vulgar goofball, but he understood how movies worked. And, anyway. All right. You have the last one here.
Okay. Could you describe each studio's identity as a true Noir studio in a single tagline for the following studios?
Oh my God.
Okay. Well,
I don't know that I can. This is from Mark.
This is from Mark.
Mark Malaki
from Studio City.
This is too hard, Mark.
Okay. Well, RKO is easy, right? Because that was the House of Noir.
I call it the House of Noir, and I call it the House of Noir just because that was the studio's wheelhouse. Were black and white movies in that budget range where they could make a lot of noir. So, and because they had some specific talents. See this, I'm explaining this. This is what I'm saying. I can't do this in a single word. I mean, the House of Noir is more than one word, because the reality of this question, Mark, is that you would just be using a word to describe the studio itself. It wouldn't necessarily pertain to the noir product that was made at that studio, right? Because if you're talking about a studio like MGM, the word that was always associated with MGM was Tiffany, because it was the Tiffany of studios, because, they produced the grandest, glitziest musicals and comedies and stuff. And there's no way to describe MGM noir films in a single word. And you can't really do that. I don't know that you can do that with any of the studios, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, Warner Brothers.
Except that RKO was different because, I mean, in the 30s, they produced movies that could have been made at MGM or Paramount. Top Hat is an RKO film. Yeah. But, once the 40s came around and things were kind of in upheaval at RKO, they decided to put a cap on the spending, and that's why so many noir films got made there, right? You would think that Warner Brothers would be a noir studio because of what they made in the 30s, right? Really, but it really wasn't.
I was going to just say Joan Crawford was noir at Warner Brothers.
Well, I mean, the Maltese Falcon was Warner Brothers, but they didn't and Humphrey Bogart worked there. Yeah. But that didn't necessarily mean it was the most noir studio. I mean, I think Fox made just as many great noir films as Warner Brothers did. And Fox Paramount, of course, is Billy Wilder's studio is Paramount, and he made the most, and John Farrow made his pictures at Paramount. But is there a common denominator? I don't know. I think it actually has more to do with the cinematographers that were under contract to that studio.
Because Fox's noirs look significantly different than other studios noirs. It's like a very different physical style. Well,
part of that is because Zanuck wanted to pioneer this, quote unquote semi-documentary style of filmmaking. The most noir looking films at Fox were shot by Norbert Brodin, right? Who did Kiss of Death and Thieves Highway and, the other, but they also had Joe McDonald working there, and um, Joseph Lachelle worked, he shot Laura, and so the cinematographers had as much to do with the look, right? At Columbia, it was Burnett Guffey. At Universal, it was Woody Bridell. At Paramount, it was John Seitz. Warner Brothers had a few guys, Sid Hickox and Saul Polito, and so it's just very, very hard to put a single word on all of these things. Monogram, the word would be cheap. but
or return on investment.
yeah, ROI. Yeah,
ROI.
exactly. So I mean, it's an interesting question, and I'm happy Mark asked that, because it does show you how important the cinematographers were to creating like the house style.
Because when I think of each of those studios, I tend to think of what the films look like.
Yeah.
Like I said, I can picture like what a Fox Noir looks like, as opposed to like, RKO or more. It's funny, really, in Columbia, they all had different. I mean,
looks. But you have to be really sophisticated. Like my late friend John Bailey, who was a cinematographer and was briefly the president of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. John and I would talk about the specific way certain cinematographers approach the films, but you have to really be good to distinguish between Norbert Brodin and Woody Bridell and Harry Wilde. When they all started shooting noir, I mean, you're distinguishing them because you know what studio made it. And so, that's, Harry Wilde. Well, also RKO had more of the good cinematographers than any other studio, right? Because they had Nicholas Musaraka, and they had George Discant, and they had Harry Wilde. These guys all worked at RKO. And I also tend to give RKO the House of Noir designation because of Val Lewton.
Yeah.
Right. Whose influence, even though he made horror movies, his influence over the look of films at RKO was quite significant.
Yeah.
Because when they made Cat People, when the heads of the studio realized that they were getting the bang for the buck they were getting out of that movie, which cost them nothing and was a big sleeper because of the visual style of, you don't have to show the stuff in order to scare the audience, that had a huge impact on other filmmakers at the studio, and then eventually all around Hollywood. Anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So
Halloween is coming, so everybody watch Val Lewton films for Halloween. They always play a ton of on TCM.
Yeah, I know, it's and they were asking me. I mean, I'm not supposed to talk about this because it has something to do with TCM and the upcoming film festival, and I am not authorized to discuss it. But if I get my way, there'll be a little Val Lewton in it. So that's all I can say.
Okay.
Okay. So now we come to the what you reading, what you watching.
So Ted and I just finished watching Karma, the Korean show,
which you have highly touted.
Yes, and it was great to watch it a second time because it was definitely such clever writing that you put all these things. It was so much fun to watch it a second time.
I haven't even gotten around to Censored, right? Wasn't that the other thing you recommended? Censored,
yeah.
Okay, so I got to get to those.
Yeah, and then right now I'm watching another Korean show, Heavenly Ever After, about a woman who dies and goes to heaven, and it's kind of she's a very interesting character because when it first starts, they're still on Earth, and she seems like she's like this like older woman who's taking care of her husband and stuff, and then it winds up she's like this loan shark. Anyway, so her husband dies first, and then she dies later and stuff, and she gets up to heaven, and it's really interesting. Like,
This sounds wild.
it is. That's literally the first episode, and then it's like her adventures in heaven, and yeah, it's really well done. And in one episode, they go to hell, which was really intense because that was very interesting. Yeah, it's really good so far. So, but the woman that is in it, like, she's 80, and if I look like that when I'm 80, I'm gonna be super, super happy.
There you go. Like the woman from Pale Flower, the movie Pale Flower, Mariko Kaga.
Yeah.
When she was like in her 80s, she finally looked like she was about 40.
Yeah, I mean, this woman, when I looked her up and she was 80, I was like, no way, because she was in Our Blues as well, which I mentioned the last time we talked. But yeah, it was pretty. It's like, oh my God, just wow.
Okay. All right. So still Karma, and then what's this thing called? It's called
Heavenly Ever After.
Heavenly Ever After. Okay. Yeah. All right. Reading anything?
I'm still reading the Paul Naschy.
Oh, that's okay. Okay.
And you'll never guess who he mentioned. So he was talking about the actors from the classic period that influenced him. And he mentioned the inimitable Dan Duryea.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah, that made me happy.
Congratulations. That's good. I read just on the plane going to Detroit. I read this book called "If Cats Disappeared from the World."
Oh my God, no!
Book, yeah, and but it was funny. It's a Japanese author, and it was about a young man who is visited by the devil, who tells him that he is going to die, and that he is allowed to get more days of life by making things disappear from the world. You can get another day. What do you want to have disappear? So, it's obviously a fantasy kind of thing. And you can understand where this is all going, right? Yeah. He's able to get rid of like cell phones, right? Make cell phones disappear, and he gets another day. Then he stupidly says movies. He gets rid of movies, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's terrible.
But then he can't get rid of his cat. Yeah. At the end, so he realizes he has to die so that the cat can live, and it's more to it than that, but it was good for a plane ride. Yeah. And I again give so much thanks to my wife Kathleen, who finds the most extraordinary stuff for us to watch on TV that I would never have found at all, but we're watching, and I'm going to finish it tonight. We're watching a show from Croatia called The Last Socialist Artifact. And it was made in 1921. And it's killing me. This show is killing me because it's so incredibly good. Like, I can't believe this is a TV series, 6 episodes. And the plot is very, very simple. It's just about an abandoned factory in this small town in rural Croatia where there's no economy whatsoever. And these 2 guys come in from Zagreb, the capital, to buy this factory and start it up again for very shady reasons. You never know who's underwriting this project or why. Yeah. And the rebirth of this factory becomes the rebirth of the town, because all the workers there remember, when it was a worker-controlled factory, but the world has changed. And anyway, the show like hits all the right notes and pushes all my buttons, because it's just really, really great. Talking about, the need for people to have a purpose in life. And there's something about movies from that part of the world that really engage me. It's partly because that's my heritage in a way, And so if movies set in like the former Yugoslavia and Ireland really resonate with me because that's my heritage. And I don't know what it is, but I recommend the show, although I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. It's very arty. It's a little slow. Like we were talking earlier about the acting, where the people just seem to not be acting. They just seem so incredibly real.
Yeah.
This show does feel like the cameras just happen to be there watching all this stuff take place, but it's very plotted. I mean, it's based on a somewhat famous novel written in Croatia, which I think was called the No Signal Zone, because it's a gag in the show how they're so impoverished there. Everybody has a cell phone, but then the cell phones never really work right because they can't get a signal, you know. And I will say, I will just conclude by saying this show did contain one of my favorite scenes I've seen in it on screen lately. Was there's this older man, this character in the show, who was the chief engineer at the factory when it was thriving, and he's a wonderful actor. And he doesn't have anything to do with modern technology. They're building a turbine engine in this factory. That's the point. And he's a mechanical guy, not a technological guy. So he's walking down the street. He has visited his daughter, who lives in Sweden at one point, and his other daughter, who he is estranged from, is going to have a baby. So his other daughter gives him a cell phone so that they can send him pictures of the baby when it's born, right? And he has never had a cell phone. He doesn't know how to work a cell phone, anything, but he takes it. And then he's walking down the street and the cell phone goes off and he doesn't even know how to answer it, you know? But these kids are all hanging around with a broken bicycle. And this guy walks up and goes, "Hey, let me see that." And he teaches this kid how to fix the bike, right? Like, this is why it's not. And the scene is so beautiful because he fixes it and the kid says, "Give it to me." And then he takes it back and he says, "No, you have to learn how to fix it yourself." And like, he won't give the bike back to the kid until the kid can fix it himself. So the old man teaches this young child how to work the bike and fix it. And then the kid hears his phone ringing and he sees that he can't answer it. And the kid shows him how to work the phone so that he can see the pictures of his granddaughter, his newborn granddaughter. It sounds hokey, but it was like one of the most emotionally affecting scenes, and just beautiful writing, you know, that this guy, like, time had passed him by. The mechanical stuff just doesn't register anymore on these kids. But anyway, now here's my treat for you, Anne. I don't know if I've ever shown this to you before, but
oh, how cool. Oh my God. What a great shirt.
Midnight Diner t-shirt.
Oh my God.
With the master.
With the master.
There he is.
His mysterious scar.
And his mysterious scar. I'm going to have to get you one of these.
Yes.
Kathleen got this for me, but I'm going to get you one. I should have surprised you, but that was my surprise. So
that's very cool.
And I'm sure all the Japanese, which I can't read, I'm sure it's the menu. It's his menu, you know, his regular menu on the wall of the restaurant. So that was cool.
And if people haven't seen Midnight Diner, you need to watch Midnight Diner. It's on Netflix.
I think we have sold that show more than any two people in the United States of America.
Well, and I just wanted to kind of say something to people. You know, I really highly recommend. I'm not like a huge Netflix fan. Like, I don't think the movie selection is that great, but I feel like I've learned so much about the world from watching TV series from all these different places.
Oh, yeah.
I find it a really incredible way to learn about other cultures.
Yep.
That's all. I just wanted to say that, you know, because I'll go down these like little rabbit holes and watch some stuff from different places, you know, and just learn things that I had no idea about. It's just fun.
Well, it's also very interesting because, like, with this last Socialist artifact show, it's about how, parts of the world or their economies can be devastated by war. Right. And this is a lesson that Americans have never had to learn, but we may have to learn it pretty soon. And it's just, it is fascinating to see this. And I want to add to this point. Last week on TCM, I showed The Murderers Are Among Us, right? And first film made in Germany after World War II. Very insightful movie. And I sometimes check on social media to see how did this go over. And by and large, people were really intrigued by it and found it depressing, but a very strong film. I got a message from a woman who said, "I can't believe you're still showing movies by foreigners. Shame on you. Shame on you." That was a message I got.
That's odd.
Like, are we living in 2025 or what? I mean, that just blows my mind.
If you don't want to watch foreign films, that's fine. Or if you just said, "Why are you showing foreign films?"
But to tell me I should be ashamed of myself for showing that film was just like, wow. Goes to show you,
yeah, it's strange.
It is strange. Anyway, that's not our problem, man. We watch a lot of foreign films.
I do. Yeah. I mean, I watch a lot of foreign stuff. And like I said, it's just, like I said, I mean, just to me, it's fun because you also learn stuff, and especially anything with food. I mean, I love seeing food from around the world. Like this Korean show I'm watching right now, this woman cooks a lot because that's what she used to show her love for her husband. And up in heaven, there's this character who's a pastor who has a little church that no one ever comes to. And she gets sent there because she keeps getting demerits, and she's going to wind up having to go to hell if she gets one more demerit. So they send her to they're like, you have to do some sort of redeeming thing. So she winds up going to this guy's little church. And what's interesting is that she keeps making him food. So then he starts having the service earlier. So it's like lunchtime because she keeps falling asleep. Like as soon as he starts having the service, she immediately falls asleep. So you're seeing like all these like really interesting dishes that she's making for him, and so anyway.
Not something you're going to get too much of in this Croatian series.
Not a lot of food.
The food in Croatia,
not inspiring.
There's a lot of drinking. There is a lot of drinking in this thing. Anyway, but I recommend it. I'd be curious to know what people think of it. Okay. And we got another one in the books.
We do. So I think we're going to be able to keep on our every 2 week schedule. Knock on wood. So this is going to be on October 2nd. And I will be in the comments. I don't leave until the next day. I'm leaving for Sugar Land, Texas for my mother's memorial service, but I should be in the comments the night this airs.
We should figure something out because I, of course, on the 7th of October, I leave to go on the TCM cruise. And then after the cruise comes back on the 13th, and then the very next day I go to Morelia, Mexico for the Morelia International Film Festival, which runs until the 19th. And Noir City, DC is in there starting like on the 10th and going for a couple of weeks, which I will not be attending this year. So Foster Hirsch and Alan Rohde will be hosting at different times during the festival, the different weekends, but I will not be able to do DC this year. I will be doing Phoenixville in which we call Noir City, Philadelphia, in November, but it's busy. So let's see if we can sneak one in before I go on the cruise. Let's try to sneak another one in.
We'll try. Okay, so we'll arrange something to get something aired before you go on your cruise. Emily just really wants to say hello. I don't know if people can hear her, if the mic was picking her up, but she's been talking. Yeah,
there she. Oh, just a big yawn. She just gave us a big yawn. I guess we've overstayed our welcome because she's yawning at us now. So, okay, thanks. Everybody's a critic. Thanks.
She's just reminding me it's bedtime. She has me on a strict schedule.
Okay, very good. Me too. You can see it's gotten dark since I've been sitting here. It's gotten dark, and now the noir lighting is kicked in. So
it is
okay.
time. So anyway, thank you everybody. Really, really appreciate you tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you. We'll see you again soon.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Good night.